What's up, Luba? I've been getting tons of questions in my DMs over the last couple weeks about everything from what is a lockout, why is it going to happen, the specifics of it, down to just in general understanding what is going on. So let's get started. Okay, so I had a lot of questions about the last few days leading up to the potential lockout. A lot of people asked, why are more people signing right now? Obviously, we've had like a record number of signings leading up to this deadline, and that is because many believe that if signings aren't done before the deadline, then given the uncertainty about, when there could be an agreement, it would be very difficult for these free agents to have all the logistics figured out, obviously sign with the team, and, report to spring training on time. And so, everyone, I think, kind of wanted to expedite the process. Also because you don't want to go a super long period of time, neither side does, being uncertain about, what you're spending or, on the player side, what money is or isn't coming in, what city you're going to be in, all of that. So I think both sides just kind of felt this sense of urgency to, let's not play the long drawn out waiting game, which is kind of what normally happens. Is the potential lockout why a lot of these massive deals have been executed? I would say the amount of money isn't necessarily because of a lockout. Players are going to get paid if they deserve to get paid. I think ordinarily you would have seen it happen a lot later in the season, but yes, because of the looming potential lockout, that is why everyone just kind of rushed to get things done. I had a lot of questions as well about kind of the specifics of what is being negotiated. One of the questions was, could this potentially change the way player contracts work? Yes, the uniform player contract is something that is collectively bargained for in the agreement. So basically everybody signs kind of a standard contract, and then there are certain clauses in there that you can negotiate for, whether it's awards. You can obviously change around the structure of how you're paid. You can negotiate in things like a suite on the road or, whatever. But in general, it's kind of a uniform standard contract. So yes, a collectively bargained agreement, sure, could change, the format or some of the clauses in there for sure. Are there any talks going on related to players being able to market themselves more freely? That's a good question. I would say, given the fact that there are so many huge issues that I think players feel the need to push through, I would say, unfortunately, it's probably lower down on the totem pole in terms of importance. But, could there be something in there about having more freedom to wear whatever cleats you want and promote your personality a little more? Potentially. What do I think the biggest point of contention is? I think the biggest point of contention is the fact that the owners are pretty content with how things are. It's in their favor right now. And I think the players are a lot less happy with that. And that is because, look, over, the last several years, the age demographic has shifted. It's become much younger, and players are viewed as being old in their early 30s. That's changed things. And then, because the demographic has shifted to, having players at a much younger age and not signing players when they're older, which is traditionally when players would get paid. The problem is now finding a way for these younger guys to make money, because that's going to be the biggest chunk of their career when they can earn money. And so finding a way to change, whether it's, the team control, how long they control them, or, finding a better way to pay players who are younger, who are still under team control, more fairly and more representative of the actual market. What are the pros and cons of a salary floor? You can make a whole video about this, but it's not as simple as people think. And I think it's really interesting because a lot of people, I know a lot of fans have very strong opinions about this, and they think one league does it better because they have a cap or they have a floor. And it's funny because if you talk to players in those respective leagues, a lot of times, they're not huge fans of it and they have their own issues with it. In terms of a salary floor, the problem is that I think players feel like you end up cutting out the middle class, and they struggle to get contracts, because if you have a team that has to spend a certain amount of money, right? And let's say they're still rebuilding a little or whatever, they might just pay some ridiculous contract, right, to a really good player, right? And they'll pay all their money to that player and then just basically not really sign anybody else or have any kind of middle of the road contracts, because they look at it as, well, I'm just going to get this star, right? I mean, I have to spend X amount of money. I'm just going to pay everything to them. And then I'm just going to have all these, like replacement level players or whatever. Again, that was a very general kind of broad description of some of the issues with it, but it does squeeze out the middle class. What is my opinion on a salary cap? I am not for it. Again, I know that a lot of fans feel very strongly about it. However, I've talked to plenty of players and members of other unions and other leagues, and it's something that they don't like. I believe in an open kind of market, and teams should be able to pay, whatever it is they feel like it's worth to acquire a certain player. And I don't think they should be restricted or penalized for wanting to spend money. Spending money is good for players. On a scale of 1 to 10, how contentious are negotiations right now? I would say they're probably pretty contentious. They have been for a long time, and it hasn't gotten much better. Anyways, I hope that was helpful, guys. If you have more questions, shoot them my way and I will try my best to answer some more. But fingers crossed that we have a full and normal 2022 season.